This story is purely fictional and created for entertainment purposes. It does not promote harm, superstition, or real-life danger. Viewer discretion is advised due to suspenseful and supernatural themes. The story begins with a moment so strange that nobody who hears it ever forgets it. A young girl stands in front of a mirror, trembling, because the underwear an old woman gave her has started tightening on its own, slowly, painfully, like a living thing claiming her. She tries to pull it off, but it refuses to move. And at that exact moment, a whisper fills the room, warning her that removing it means losing everything she loves. The screen goes black. Before this terrifying moment, before the whisper, before the curse awakened, there was a girl who never believed in village legends, until one gift changed her entire destiny. Her name was Adaora, a girl whose life had always been simple: school, chores, laughter, and dreams bigger than her village. But everything changed the day she was asked to deliver food to an old woman who lived deep inside the forest, a woman nobody visited unless forced to. People said the old woman saw things before they happened. People also said she never called anyone by mistake. Adaora's steps were heavy that day, as if the wind itself was warning her to turn back. The path felt longer than usual, and every rustling leaf sounded like a secret being whispered behind her back. She kept walking anyway, unaware that her life was about to twist into a direction she could never undo. When she reached the old woman's hut, the air around it felt strangely cold, as if the sun refused to shine there. The old woman looked at her with eyes too sharp for her frail body, eyes that carried a mixture of sorrow, urgency, and unspoken warnings. Without explanation, she reached into a small wooden box and brought out a simple-looking underwear, the color faded, the fabric old but strangely warm. She pressed it into Adaora's hands and whispered the one rule: never take it off. Adaora didn't understand why. She didn't understand the weight of that rule. She didn't understand that the moment she accepted the gift, something ancient began to follow her. Before we continue, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications, so you don't miss what happens in the next chapter. But the story only grew stranger from there. Because that very night, as Adaora lay in bed, the underwear began to tighten around her waist, slowly, deliberately, like it was waking up. And when she sat up in fear, she realized she wasn't alone in the room. The old woman's voice was whispering from the darkness. Adaora could feel her heartbeat fighting against her ribs as the old woman's whisper drifted across her dark room. The sound wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. But it carried a weight that froze her bones, a weight that felt older than the house itself. She sat completely still, terrified that even breathing too fast would make whatever was in the room turn its attention fully toward her. And beneath her clothes, the underwear pulsed like something alive. The awakening of the gift. The air grew colder. Not like night cold, but the coldness of a place where something supernatural was happening. She felt the mattress sink slightly beside her, as if someone invisible had sat down. The whisper grew clearer, closer, almost brushing against her ear. It was a warning, a reminder, and a threat all at once. The old woman's voice kept repeating the same warning she had heard earlier, but now it carried terror instead of instruction. The words wrapped around Adaora like chains, making her realize this was not just a gift. It was a binding. The underwear tightened again, not painfully, but firmly, almost as if it was testing her obedience. Adaora wanted to scream. She wanted to tear it off regardless of the warning. She wanted to run out of the house, leave everything behind, and escape whatever she had stepped into. But she couldn't move. The air held her like invisible hands pressing her in place. Her mind kept spinning, trying to understand why the old woman chose her. Why her and not someone else? Why a simple piece of clothing could behave like a living creature? That was when the room suddenly fell silent. Completely silent. A silence so heavy it felt like the world had stopped breathing. Before we go deeper into this mystery, remember to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications, so you don't miss the next twist in this story. The shadow that watched her. The silence didn't last long. Slowly, a presence began to form in the darkest corner of her room. It didn't step forward. It didn't move. It just hovered, watching her, studying her, as if waiting for her to make the wrong decision. Adaora pulled her knees to her chest, terrified. She didn't know if the thing in the corner was there to protect her or punish her. But then the underwear tightened a third time, sharp, fast, sudden, like a warning signal. And that was when Adaora realized something horrifying. The thing in the corner wasn't watching her. It was watching the underwear. Opening with immediate tension. The shadow didn't blink, didn't shift, didn't fade. It simply hovered in the corner of Adaora's room like a dark stain that refused to be washed away. The dim moonlight spilling through the window could not touch it, as if even light was afraid of it. Adaora's breathing turned shallow, trapped between the cold air and the tightening grip of the mysterious underwear. Her heart felt too big for her chest, thumping so loudly she feared the shadow could hear it. And then the strangest thing happened. The shadow leaned forward, as though sniffing the air around her. The Night Watcher. Adaora pressed her back against the wall, hoping to melt into it. The underwear warmed suddenly, a strange heat that wrapped around her waist like a shield. That warmth spread slowly, crawling up her spine, making the shadow retreat by an inch, as if whatever lived inside that fabric was older and more powerful than the thing lurking in the darkness. This confused her even more. The underwear wasn't just alive. It was protecting her. But why? The question sat heavily in her mind, refusing to leave. Nothing in her life had prepared her for something like this. Not her grandmother's warnings. Not the village tales about spirits that followed certain bloodlines. Not the strange stories children whispered to scare each other at night. Everything inside her screamed that the old woman had known this would happen. Perhaps she wasn't chosen by accident. Perhaps she was chosen because danger was already following her. Before we go deeper into this mystery, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. Because the darkest part of Adaora's journey is only beginning. The underwear reveals its power. As the room grew colder again, Adaora felt the fabric around her waist tighten one more time, but this time, it wasn't a warning. It felt like the underwear was pulling her attention, guiding her eyes toward something. She followed the invisible pull until she noticed the floorboard near her bed trembling slightly. A single plank quivered as though something beneath it was alive, moving, waiting. The shadow in the corner reacted instantly, shrinking back like whatever was under the floor was a greater threat than it was. Adaora's pulse skyrocketed. She didn't know what was hiding beneath her room, or why the underwear was pointing her toward it, but she understood one thing clearly. Something buried beneath that floor had just awakened because she was wearing the underwear. And whatever it was trying to come out. The trembling floorboard seemed to pulse in rhythm with Adaora's heartbeat. Every shake, every tiny movement, felt like a warning knocking from the other side of reality. The room had grown too silent, too heavy, too cold, like the air itself was waiting for something to break through. Adaora sat frozen, her body rigid with fear, the mysterious underwear clinging to her skin with an intensity that felt purposeful. It wasn't just holding on to her, it was reacting to whatever was rising beneath her feet. For the first time, Adaora wondered if the underwear wasn't a gift at all. Maybe it was a seal. A barrier. A lock. The thing below. The floorboard lifted slightly, just slightly, but enough to reveal a thin crack. From that crack, a faint glow seeped out. It wasn't bright. It wasn't warm. It was a sickly, trembling light, like something swallowing the life around it. The glow flickered in slow waves, sending chills crawling up Adaora's spine. The shadow in the corner, the one that had terrified her moments earlier, recoiled instantly. It pulled away from the light like a creature shrinking from fire, flattening itself against the wall until it almost disappeared. Then Adaora understood something terrifying. Whatever lived in the shadow feared the thing beneath the floor. But the underwear did not. The fabric around her waist heated again, a steady warmth that spread through her stomach like a protective barrier. It felt ancient, wise, and strangely sad, like a guardian forced to wake up after many years of silence. Adaora couldn't stop trembling. The glow grew brighter. The floorboard rose another inch. And the house, her safe home, suddenly felt like a place she no longer recognized. Before the true secret beneath that floor is revealed, remember to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications, so you don't miss what happens in the next chapter. Because the truth is darker than anything Adaora imagined. The secret of the underwear begins to unfold. The glow beneath the floor shifted, swirling like mist trapped in a box. Adaora felt a pull, not a physical drag, but a feeling deep inside her chest, as if the glowing presence recognized her. As if it had been waiting for her. Another floorboard began to lift. Dust floated into the air. The room vibrated with a low, humming sound that made her bones ache. And then, in one horrifying instant, Adaora realized the truth. The underwear wasn't protecting her from the shadow. It was protecting her from what was rising under the house. The ancient thing. Coming straight for her. Opening with immediate fear. The floor finally cracked open. Every board split apart like dry wood touched by lightning. The glow beneath Adaora's room swelled into a swirling cloud of pale mist, a mist that rose slowly, silently, as though it had been trapped for centuries and was eager to breathe again. Adaora couldn't move. The underwear tightened sharply around her waist, not out of anger, but urgency. It held her still, as if trying to anchor her in place, keeping her from stepping closer to the hole that now pulsed like the open mouth of a waiting creature. The shadow in the corner had collapsed into itself, trembling violently. The roles had reversed. Adaora was no longer afraid of the shadow. The shadow was afraid of her. Or rather, afraid of what she was wearing. The truth rises from the floor. From the glowing mist, a shape began to form. Slow at first, like smoke swirling into the shape of a body. It wasn't human. It wasn't animal. It was something ancient, something that floated rather than stood, something that glowed rather than lived, something that watched Adaora with eyes that didn't blink. It came closer, and the underwear reacted instantly, its warmth turned to intense heat, wrapping Adaora like a shield. The glowing creature recoiled, twisting back, writhing as though the heat burned it. That was when the realization sank into Adaora with unbearable clarity. The underwear wasn't cursed. It was a seal meant to keep the creature beneath the floor from attaching itself to her. The old woman hadn't been warning her out of fear. She had been warning her out of love and desperation. This creature had once destroyed entire bloodlines. And Adaora's family was next. The final moment. The glow burst upwards suddenly, trying to surround her, trying to reach her skin, trying to take her as its new host, but the underwear flared in brilliant heat, brighter than fire, older than time. A wave of invisible force exploded outward, slamming the creature back into the ground. The floor. Her boards closed, sealing it beneath the house once more. The shadow vanished instantly, freed from fear. The room fell silent. The underwear loosened, gently, softly, almost like it was sighing. Adaora finally understood why she must never remove it. It was her protection. Her shield. Her inheritance. Moral of the story. Sometimes, the things we fear the most are the things designed to protect us. And sometimes, the people who seem strange or misunderstood are the ones carrying the knowledge that saves our lives. Opening with immediate tension. Even after the creature had been forced back into the darkness below, Adaora could feel the lingering vibration in the air, like the world had only paused the danger, not erased it. The underwear around her waist was warm again, steady, protective, almost like a living heartbeat pressed against her skin. But beneath that warmth was a quiet sadness, as though the fabric understood what was coming next. Adaora thought the battle was over. She thought the danger was sealed forever. She was wrong. Something else began to stir. The return of the old woman. As dawn approached, the faint silhouette of the old woman appeared near her window, not with glowing eyes or supernatural presence, but with the heavy steps of someone carrying a burden too large for a single lifetime. Adaora didn't hear her enter. She simply felt her presence, like a cold breeze that carried warnings from far beyond the human world. The old woman approached her slowly, studying the underwear with a look of relief and regret. The truth came to Adaora not through spoken words, but through an overwhelming understanding that washed over her like a wave. The underwear was not meant to be worn forever. It was meant to buy time. Time for Adaora to choose. Time for her to accept her inheritance. Time for her to decide whether she would face the creature again, this time, not as a frightened girl, but as the next guardian. The true purpose of the underwear. The heat from the underwear intensified, wrapping around Adaora like a final embrace. It wasn't warning her anymore. It was preparing her. Preparing her for the moment its job would be finished. Adaora felt the fabric loosen slightly, something it had never done before. For the first time since she put it on, she sensed something unspoken. The underwear was ready to release her. But only if she accepted what came next. Her mind flashed with the image of the creature, the glowing mist, the shadow that had feared the fabric's power. She understood that the underwear was not the true protection, it was only a temporary vessel. The real power was something deeper, older, something that lived inside her bloodline. Something only she could awaken. The final choice. The floor beneath her throbbed once more, a reminder that the creature was still alive, still waiting, still hungry. Adaora stepped forward, her fear replaced by a quiet strength she never knew existed within her. The underwear loosened gently, as if nodding in approval. Adaora placed her hand on her stomach and breathed deeply. She was no longer running. No longer hiding. No longer a frightened girl in a cursed room. She was now the guardian. The protector of her bloodline. The one chosen not to fear the creature, but to confront it. And as the first morning light seeped into the room, Adaora whispered a silent promise to herself. Whatever lived beneath the floor would never rise again. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe, explore our older videos, and let us know the country you're watching from.